We just finished an epic week of training with accelerated evolution processes and techniques. And so I have 3 main topics I wanted to chat with you guys about, okay? We talked a little bit this week about peak experiences, mountaintop experiences, sometimes I call them. Which peak is the best?
Orgasm. Orgasm peaks. Those are the best peaks to talk about. So what I was talking about, what you're referring to, is a lot of times we've heard about peak experiences, and we think about them as a P-E-A-K, like a mountaintop, like we've reached this ascension, right? And one of the things that's always touched me is that these glimpses into the divine, these exalted states of consciousness, these really deep or high states, however you'd like to look at them, they could be a P-E-E-K experience. You can get a glimpse of your truest potential. You can get a glimpse of the divine as an attractor to keep pulling you deeper or upward, depending on how you...
So you're saying the curtain can keep expanding?
Yeah, you get a little peek behind the curtain of what's really back there.
How many mountaintop experiences?
I'm having one right now.
Are you?
Totally, I'm having one right now.
Say more about that.
You know, in spiritual traditions, having peak experiences, they've been called many things: samadhis, kenshos, satori's, non-dual experiences, dual experiences, ecstatic spirituals, talking to angels, hearing the gods, many, many forms of this particular inward aspect of our divinity speaking to us in some way, whether it's outside, inside, whether it shows up as mythical or spiritual religious figures. There's this search, and then there's answer, and this call from existence to connect with that ephemeral, that absolute that's there but has so many names. We know it, but we can't put our finger on it. So I believe that the more we're able to access and touch that place within us, the more we keep, oh yes, but of course, oh yes, but of course, oh yes. And the process of wisdom is to keep going, oh yes, but of course, until you don't do the things that you did before, and that you're able to change into new patterns of being because of your mountaintop view. You see the road, you see the valleys, you can see a path of lesser friction and more ease. So I think that's the practical result of touching the infinite over and over again.
And in terms of consciousness, is that a stage, or is that it was stage and state. Yes. So can we stay in that always remembering state? Because I think that's what you're referring to. You don't have to...
We are forever marked by the states, and yet we don't remain in those states.
We are forever marked by those states, but we do not remain. And we will
continually journey into that state, but each time you go into it, it's a new portal. It's a new entry. It's never the same. If you try to go back in the same door, you can't do it. There are 10,000 there are 10,000 entries. You can't go back to the same portal.
And you said you don't want to stay in any state forever.
You can't.
But you know, when you're on ayahuasca, sometimes you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. Can I always stay this connected? And like, why can't I? But from your talk, you said, no, you don't want to stay forever.
No, you've got to take care of stuff.
But why can't you take care of stuff from there, from the bird's eye, from the top of the mountain? Is that possible even?
You move your way towards it over a long time. And you chisel away, you strip away, you relax away, you surrender away. From my experience, from myself. The things that obscure the awareness of your fulfillment that's already present. And when we do these experiences in self-practicing of accelerated evolution, when we guide other people through it, they come to the essential fulfillment of unity consciousness that's always already inherent in being. Now we've removed the obscuration of the tacit knowingness, the direct knowingness of that. Now, how that touches us and what we do with that, to me, is responsibility. a cultivation to keep working on. At first it's high experiences. Later you go, okay, I like the high, but now I want to have more of this in my life, more love. If you experience infinite love in these beautiful experiences, then if you find an area in your life where it's not infinite love, could be conditional love, which is perhaps some areas in our life, then we can see then those areas will be highlighted by the contrast of that beautiful experience. And that's sobriety. That's a path of sobriety. You see where you're not aligned, where you're not living infinite love, and rather than beat yourself up, it becomes a project. And then now you can approach that project from a psychological angle, a spiritual angle, a physical angle of well-being, a relationship angle of well-being, many different ways. But that's what makes it a joyful, an evolutionary growth journey, not a rival. It's like a dojo of life, I believe, a school of life.
Yeah, that feels good. I like that. Did you want to add anything?
I would only say, in those states, we are not identified. We are de-identified with so much. And as it wears off, you start taking back on all these familiar identities that you haven't integrated yet.
Right. Okay.
And you can't have both. You can't stay married to all those identities.
Right.
And remain there.
Yes.
So maturity and spiritual growth is a process of de-identification. So we use those experiences in concert with the ability to integrate and shed those identities. And when we do that together, that's how we grow, and we can maintain the quality of what you awaken to more. So another way of talking about states is they happen by accident, but you can become more accident prone.
And as long as you stay aware, because awareness is the key to everything. If you're not aware, what the hell? What's the point, right? You're not aware of it.
At the end of the day, I don't feel there's a panacea to enlightenment.
That's right.
There's no final... If some people have it, bless them. How they came to that, who knows? Could be yours, karmic lifetimes, predilections, who knows? But while we have what we have and we're in a life, we're in our reality, then I believe it's a self-empowerment we can give ourselves to each other to access depth when we're being swallowed up by shallowness.
Ooh, being swallowed up by shallowness because we are such deep wells. Oof, I like that. Well, you remind me of the path. So I've been on the path for about 15 years now. You guys have been on the path much longer than me. So can you tell me about what it's like if I like what's good? What's the future for me if I stay on the path? Anything you want to say about
one
the path?
foot in front of the other
Okay.
each day,
never changes.
connected to your devotion. When you forget, you reverently, lovingly come back another foot in front of the other.
What's your favorite spiritual practice?
Accelerated evolution.
Absolutely.
That's it.
That's all I do.
I mean,
Like, what do you mean? Like you want like so doing processes?
Yeah.
Above meditation or
Well, yeah, because if I take a couple minutes and I do an aspectics, you know this process, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so solo process, we're pretty quick now. We've been practiced, right?
Yeah.
In 8 minutes, I'm in the place of consciousness that used to take me 40 minutes to get to. You know, just by traditional method, you're already there.
Yeah.
And then you go enough times, you plunge enough, you can just call on it. You become learned. You can just call on it. So my favorite practice is just living my life, staying charge free.
Good one. Staying charge free. Some may argue though that charges is what makes up life. It gives life that like you're feeling things.
Yeah, you feel it all. Enjoy life.
Yeah.
Just not the struggle bits.
It's not the struggle.
Right? You know.
Not the voluntary struggle.
No. Not the one that are exasperated and hurting us and limiting our life. Right? Of course, life should have its own joy and music and fanfare.
Yeah.
But if we're in patterns that are consistently hurting us, hurting ourselves, we're feeling limited in with in our relationships, we're feeling limited in our freedom, with our money, with our health, with our relationships, whatever's going on, then we can empower ourselves. We actually have that power of choice to get into the driver's seat of ourself, access wisdom in here, that's here, in a very fast, direct way. No fluff, no guesswork, right? There's no guesswork, you saw. It's exact.
It's exact, yeah.
And then you have your own blueprint. You have your own inherent blueprint of activating yourself. So here is a path of your own sovereignty.
Spiritual technology?
Yes, absolutely.
Feels like it. Definitely.
That's what one of our mentors, Jivrek, calls it. Spiritual technology.
Makes
That
sense.
is his nomenclature for the whole thing.
And no one can take that away from you. That's the best part. This is your truth, your
Yes.
touching, tasting, feeling truth within yourself.
Yeah.
And no one can take that away from you.
Yes, it's your direct experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very important. Is there anything you want to say about the path?
I shared it earlier today. What my mentor shared with me for many times is the path is hard to find and it's easy to lose, but it's always there. And that's given me a lot of hope when I have felt at times that I don't know if I'm on my path, or is there a path, or should I be on the path? And it's amazing how one accelerated evolution personal experience puts me right on my path. What used to take me a while to keep finding it again through error and guess and struggle and toil and bumping into it, now I have the route, the road, the path immediately. And it's simple, simple.
How often do you use it daily?
Every day.
You
Sometimes
still use it every day?
day, sometimes
Every day.
multiple times a day.
Every day.
It doesn't have to be arduous.
No, it's simple, it's quick, it's
Yeah.
fast.
Because once you get the scripts down, now you got the process, and then you can just, you don't have to say all the things. It's you. You're guiding
Yes.
yourself, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. it's
You
very
know the
good.
intent of each piece.
You know
Yeah.
the intent.
You start with the exactness of the methods that are shared, with the exact protocols that are in the languaging, so that you understand and have an exact process, so that you're having repeatable, reliable expansion experiences, that you're not bumbling around.
Yeah.
Anyone can do them if they really are dedicated. Then when you get really good and you understand the principles of it, then you're able to guide yourself through it without a script. It's like riding a bicycle, a stick shift car, anything. It starts with like this, and then you gain your smoothness. I'm able to process, I know we've been chatting, like you said 8 minutes, I'm able, within a few minutes,
Quick.
It's possible.
a serious life obstacle, anything from even just an irritation, something in the middle of the day, something my wife says or something, whatever, that
Yeah.
pokes my ego or makes me a little infuriated or grumbly, even grumbly. Now I'm working on the grumbles. At first I was working on the infuriations,
Yeah.
which I really don't have any. When I first started, I started with the infuriations.
Yeah.
I'm rarely infuriated by anything, ever. And I got hot temper in my family. But I don't have hot temper anymore.
You
I
still-
really can say that. But now I have grumbles.
You're like,
So I look
"Ugh."
for the grumbles. And then I'm sure one day those grumbles will become, embraces, things I can fully embrace. So I don't think there's an end. It's like a martial artist. The way I look at it is that I'm training myself to become more slick and smooth with reality.
I like that. Slick and smooth.
And you're a dancer.
Yeah.
How would you see this as dancing?
Yeah.
You partner the things that look like obstacles to you, and what you learn over time, when you start processing stuff, you start understanding, I know what's going to happen when I sit down to process this. I'm going to be integrated of this, and it's not going to be a big deal. And you start remembering earlier, everything that comes your way has a deep, good intention for you. And you don't have to look at everything like it's catastrophic. So there's this symbiotic movement, this dance you can start having with the stuff that's coming to you. You don't have to be infuriated by that which goes on around you, because you're not identifying with it.
You're just becoming almost curious about it.
You're getting curious about it because you know there is a message for you,
Yeah, I
a
think
higher
that's
intention.
one of the best things about Aspectix is that this aspect is a part of you, and believe it or not, it has a positive
It
intent
has a positive
for you.
intention for you.
Yeah.
And it's not just a new age parable or some
No.
ism. There's an actual reality to that.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's great.
Sure. And you know every time you're going to go do it, you
Yeah.
are going to discover that truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have
You
you
can
guys
start
ever
to rely on that.
bullshitted yourself through a process with yourself in a solo process? And how do you identify if you're bullshitting yourself? And is that even possible?
Yeah, it's possible.
It is totally, right? Yeah.
It's possible.
I think we're
Yeah.
pushing ourselves a lot.
But you believe your
I
own
think
bullshit.
that's why we're on the path of I think that's why we do this. It's to clean up the bullshit.
You believe your bullshit.
See, the idea of healing or cleaning up your bullshit at one time, that's like saying I'm going to clean up my room once. I'm going to clean my bathroom once. I'm going to clean my teeth once. I'm going to
And then
floss
it's done?
once. That's not a right approach to personal hygiene, spiritual hygiene, emotional hygiene. The approach is that you clean, and as you go out into life, you gather dust and you shower. And so this is also very valuable for that, rather than going for this all-star thing. Although those things happen,
Yeah.
those epiphanies happen constantly.
Yeah. The synchronicities.
The synchronicities, the seeming miraculous, like things coming to you that you had thought of before in a positive way. These synchronicities, I believe, are a reflection of the settledness and the equilibrium that emerges in being.
Yes. And this being bringing us to the unified field. So the same subatomic particles that make up your body and your being are the same subatomic particles that make up the field.
This is it. The life you have is a response to your field. This is the field, the one that you're in. That's the response to your internal condition. However you feel free and joyful and beautiful, then that is here. Wherever you feel contracted, comes back like a mirror reality in slow motion is how I experience it. It's like a slow motion mirror. If I frown, it'll frown, but it'll take a little longer. If I smile, it'll return the smile, but a little bigger but a little longer. But if I frown and smile, and I'm expecting it as fast as the mirror that I see when I'm grooming myself, it's not going to happen. So to me, it's a response of the preponderance of my beingness.
Thank you for explaining it like that. That was the first time I really captured the holographicness of the inner and outer worlds. And yeah, sometimes you want to see it right away, but it can't.
When you do the integration of inner world, outer world, then that division starts to dissolve. And then the holographic experience doesn't become an idea, it becomes an embodied seeing.
Yes. And that embodiment is because you're in it. You are the universe, creating the universe right now. What do you think?
You are the unified field. You can't
Yeah.
not be separate from it. You are it. When you work on what am I, you have that awakening.
Boom. And on that note, I feel like we covered so much. High fives. Good job, guys. Yeah, we did it. Sweet. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.